Ndio moderate. Wako wana 60 times 100. Hi. What's the question?
Hello. Saidi, angalia kwa ito nini bakuli, kuna juice chupa, huwa hizo chupa changanya.
Una- unafanya wapi?
Hapa.
Hii ni caption. Mm.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this particular webinar. So I think we had said we will start at exactly 2:30. So we just accorded the rest. Those who have not joined, maybe about some few minutes they join, then we can start. So thank you so much for joining the meeting. Let me just share my screen so that I can start. So this is a masterclass on Excel and Power BI, and today that is the focus. We are going to have a very practical session so that we can be able to get the insights on Excel and Power BI. So just allow me to share my presentation screen. Just 1 minute.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We are excited to have you guys here. So this is just a kind reminder to everyone who has joined the webinar and you've not made a payment, kindly please do so, or we'll be forced to remove you from the meeting. So if you've joined the webinar and you've not made a payment, kindly do so in the next 10 minutes, or we will have to remove you from the meeting. Thank you and have a lovely afternoon.
What is phone. Mbona mimi niko kwenye umefanya iko sawa.
So I've seen a question on whether we are going to be having the CPT points. I believe you can, if you are able to, liaise with the institution, the authority. So maybe they are in a position to, maybe dictate how many CPT points are there. But basically, once we are through with this particular session, we will be able to, have an opportunity to, award participation certificates, which I believe is very important. And then, so you can use that to claim your points. I'm just, I want to share my screen. That is the only thing that is just remaining so that I can start. In the meantime, maybe Samantha, in case you have anything you can share as I try to share the screen. Just a small issue here.
Sijui nahitaji
Good afternoon. My name is Samantha. Just a kind reminder to everyone. If you've joined the meeting and you've not made a payment, kindly do so before we start the meeting, or otherwise we'll be forced to let you go. So kindly do a payment before we start a meeting. Thank you.
Good. So as we wait to resolve the issue, it is just a sharing screen. We had disallowed people from sharing their screens. So I think it also disallowed the presenter. So let me also wait for them to just fix it. But in the meantime, we'll start by just, I don't know if we can have some introductions of the people who are here. You can see we have a very big team. So as I've said today, it will be very practical, no theory. Maybe just 2-3 slides of theory. But after that, we will be required to just go into the practical bit of things, which is what I want. So I can start by introduction, even without a slide. So my name is Asima Simon. I do focus on, so I'm a finance professional, and my focus in terms of training. I'm a corporate trainer. I train Excel, Advanced Excel, and Power BI. So basically, I work with individuals and companies just to see how they can use these particular tools for their day-to-day activities, or sometimes for their project management activities. Okay, so that is what I do on a daily basis. And having worked with institutions and organizations for quite some time, it gives me some sort of exposures, because I've worked with finance people, I've worked with donor-funded projects, I've worked with government ministries. So some of them, or most of them, when they or when we are in session, what we normally have is getting into real life practical cases. Okay, so some of those things is what I would want to bring. I know for such a session it is just a 2-hour session, but we will still be able to go into the key items that I believe are important. Okay, that I believe that are very important for us to at least get a link towards where information is. Data modeling, if you look at it, it's a very broad term, but we will try to demystify it and try to understand what it means. I know in the previous session where we had talked about financial analysis and modeling using Excel, we focused more on data collection and creating data sets. So today we would want to use those data sets and see how best to model them, okay, or to just understand what this modeling is all about. So that is what I would really want to do today. I know somebody is saying, let us see your face. Let me have the video. I know. Let me have my video on. At least I'll be able to see whom we're interacting with. So, so I'm Simon, and I'm going to take you through this particular session. I don't know if it is always good I confirm if you are able to hear me. I don't know if you're able to hear me properly. Are you able to see the video? If yes, then we at least proceed. Are you able to hear me? Emmanuel, yes, thank you. And you can make it as exciting as possible. For these particular trainings, it is always good to ask a question. Like last time, somebody, I think it was, I don't know from which organization, was able to share very good insight. And let me just see. Let me just share this screen. I see Richard, you would want to ask something. Yes, feel free. Yes, Richard. Just to ask, are you able to see my screen? I see, Richard, you have raised your hand. Oh, no screen. Okay, that is the only issue I think I'm having. Let me just log out, log in, and then I think that is the only issue I'm having. Let me log in, log out, then I start afresh so that we can have the session started. But in the meantime, in case you have something that you'd want to share, feel free. If you have a question, I think I've seen so many questions. Will there be slides? I would also recommend or ask my team, Samantha, maybe you can also be noting down what people are requesting so that we can be able to look at these questions. So I think after maybe 1 hour of intensive content, we will go back and see how best to answer those particular questions. So thank you so much for confirming loud and clear. Yes. So it is only the screen now and the files. Also for the files, because we're going to make it practical, I would also want you to try this time. Last time, I was the only one who was working on the documents. This time I have, I think, five documents that I would want to share with you, so that when I'm working on it, even if you're not going to work on it right now, you can also be working on it. We can work on it later, okay? So that we can have those. You can also practice on the files. Ideally, we normally don't share the files, but the files I've created, they do not have any privacy. They are not for anyone because it is important to really understand data privacy so that you don't share information that is not yours. So I'm going to share the information on WhatsApp group so that you can be able to access those particular. We have a WhatsApp group, I think. So you can be able to go there and download it once we reach to the practical side. So give me a few minutes. Unfortunately, we are seeing people still registering for the webinar despite the number, but it is still okay. We are still giving them some time to join so that they don't miss it. Some of these webinars, we do them maybe quarterly or after every 6 months. So it is good we give the rest time, at least they join. They also benefit from these. So it will be an exciting session. Yeah, so allow me to reload my application so that I can be able to share the screen. So in case there's any, can you send on email instead of WhatsApp? I don't email, yeah. So I send an email. Maybe let me do this. I can share a Google Drive folder that you can download those particular files instead of the WhatsApp, or I can share both links. Anyway, it's okay. Okay. So allow me to refresh so that we can start, and then we give the rest like 5 minutes. They also join, and we proceed. So just 3 minutes. I share with you the link to everyone. Or I can share the link on this chat. Yes, good. Okay, let me share the link on this chat. I think that is good. Just 1 minute.
644. So hiyo 939. So kuna 1000 hapa yako. Yago kijana, mwambie siko na ubaya. Sawa, asante. Sio huyu. Alikilona mwingine.
Please mute your microphone, Solomon, so that you can. Good. So I think we can proceed now that we have the PowerPoint up. So let me start with a brief introduction. I think we are giving some others time to join and also settle in. I think 30 minutes is okay now. We can proceed. Now, as I had started, I had introduced myself as Simon. So basically, my day-to-day, I'm a consultant and also a corporate trainer. So at D&D, I am a lead trainer, but I also work with other organizations as a trainer. Okay. Now, I just want to give a little background on what we are going to do. Okay, and I will start by just highlighting this photo. I think last time I also highlighted the same photo, just to illustrate the importance of training. Okay, the importance of having training. And last time I asked people, what do you think this picture would really mean? And somebody said, we are seeing a professional there. There's a bridge which is having a gap. And of course, it's as if one is trying to assist the other to cross the bridge. And then basically that is what we do, especially with such webinars and other events that we normally have. We just try to create that, to bridge that gap that exists in the corporate field. Okay, so most of the time we have such webinars for finance people, we have it for HR people. Like last week, but one we had HR analytics, okay, using advanced Excel. So and that was like tailor-made for HR people or HR professions. So that is what we do, and of course we do it in a very professional way. That is why our slogan is for that professional touch. Okay, we really want to make sure whether we run free webinars, we are able to share knowledge and of course to impact how corporates, perform. Okay, so of course we have the commercial side where we have our courses. So many courses that are there. If you can take time to explore our website, I believe that would really share more on what we do. So to start us off, if I just go to the next slide, I just want to talk a bit about data modeling. You see, now the reasons to why this particular webinar was more of data modeling is because I think last time when we were doing financial analysis, there are some people who said, no, why don't you make it a bit broad so that it doesn't just be specific? And I will just talk about the definition of data modeling, which we did last time. We had talked about what data modeling is. Okay. Now, from what we said, this is just a bit of what I picked from last time. We said modeling is a process. First of all, modeling is a process. And it is a process of, number one, first of all, you analyze the different types of data that you have in your organization. Okay, so which kind of data do you collect? If you're in the finance department, which kind of data do you collect? Okay, what is it? Is it only names? Are there some figures that you collect? Are there some string characters that you collect? So the type of data that you collect, you first of all need to define that in that particular process. So if you look at the definition, it is defining the different data types that you have. And you see, anytime you talk about that, of course, it will borrow a bit from statistics. We have different kinds of data. We have, it can be levels of data. We can have primary data. It can be secondary data. We can have now the various levels of data. For example, nominal, ordinal. We can have scale. We can have ratio. So if you go back to statistics 1, those who did a bit of statistics or mathematics, normally we'll talk about the different levels of data. So at this particular point in modeling, what you're talking about is the different types of data. Number one, that your business collects or does what? Produces. Remember, you get information. Let's say, for example, you're an auditor and you get files from your clients, and you want to analyze it. So those files that you get, that kind of data that you get, is also part of your modeling. Okay, should also be considered as part of your model. And of course, you might produce some sort of data. For example, if you prepare an invoice for a client, that is data. The name of the client, their contact, how much they purchased or how much they paid, how much is spending. All this is data. Okay. Now, last time we said, or we also say that when you have data, you need to put it in a group. I think what we mentioned last time as data sets. So you have to put data in data sets. Now, this data, which can be in table, you need to make sure, for you to say now I have created a model, you need to make sure there's a relationship between these data. There's a sort of a relationship between these data. Otherwise, if there is no relationship between your data, then ideally you do not have a model. You just have a collection of data. So it is until when you are able to create a connection between data, that is when now you are able to say, now I have a what? I have a model. Okay. The other bit is on so that is the definition. Okay, you define the data and then you create a relationship between those data, and we're going to go in depth into that. The other item is the data sets that I was talking about. So we said we need to have data sets for us to be able to do what? To be able to create a relationship. So you create data about your customers, a data set about your customers. So their name, their details, maybe how much they have. You don't even put how much they've bought. If you look at the different types of data sets, but you look at the customer information. Okay, not the customer transaction. There's a difference. Customer transactions and customer information, different when it comes to data modeling. So customer information, you put it in one data set. Then customer transaction, you put it in another data set. Okay, and then you create a what? A linkage between these two data sets. And today we will need to see this practically. Okay, and then if you look at the different types of data sets, so we can ideally have two. Okay, dimensional data sets and factual data sets. Last time we created in the webinar financial analysis and modeling, we created dimensional data sets and factual data sets. So today we want to see how do we connect them, how do we analyze them, how do we create reports like that. Okay, so we have dimensional data sets and factual data sets. So it is good at least I talk about them so that it can give us what do we call it? A foundation before we get into the practical. So today actually I have like 6 slides. I think this is almost the second last slide. So today there is no much talk like last time. Today we are going to do a lot of practice. Okay. So dimensional data set is where you describe the data. Okay. Dimensional data set is where you describe the data. So for example, customer information or client information. We are trying to describe the data. Okay. So we can have customers or clients. We can have vendors. So we're just describing them. Now, so that is dimensional. Okay. And we use dimensional data to create basis for reporting. So it is the dimensional data that will help us to report. For example, if I have customer data or client data, I can categorize clients and say, I want to have a report about these clients. Okay? Or I want some visualization about this particular client. So that is the work of dimensional data. Then factual data sets, they give us events, how events unfold concerning the dimensional data. For example, if you have client information, then it means your client will be having some transactions. Maybe they will purchase, they will have debts. I mean, they will have so many transactions. Okay, so these transactions that can be analyzed, maybe counted, summed together, maybe averaged. That is now what we are terming as factual data sets, as well as factual data sets. Okay. The other type, if you look at what some people say in the industry, is you can have dimensional and factual, but sometimes you find that data that is combining all these two, dimensional and then factual. Okay. That kind of a data set, from what I've seen, is we can term it as a flat data set. A flat. So it is neither dimensional nor factual. It is flat in nature. Okay, so we are going to see these particular data sets. Good. The other thing I want to talk about is the key drivers to modeling, data modeling. So that is in Excel and Power BI. Okay, because remember that today's focus is more on Excel and Power BI. You can use other tools for modeling. There are so many tools, but the most user-friendly tools that you can use are Excel and Power BI, especially so normally in IT, we can sometimes categorize people into either users or non-users. So users are people who are at least familiar with the software. Non-users is somebody who has not yet engaged the software. So even if you are a non-user, Excel and Power BI are very easy to use. They are very user-friendly tools. So ideally, you can learn them. So the complex things that data engineers, data analysts do, even you as a finance professional, whether you have the skills or not in data analytics, you can use this tool to analyze your data. Okay, and that is Excel and Power BI. But if you look at how things have been, Excel has been popular. I think since 1984, that is when Excel was, launched into the market. So Excel is very popular. We cannot ignore it. Since 1984, that's a long time. And you see Excel the structure in Excel helps it to write or to helps it to be very flexible and versatile, even with other softwares. I can assure you, if today, for example, you have an accounting tool, maybe QuickBooks or any other customized software, you realize the kind of reports they generate. You can always see, hey, export to Excel or import from Excel. So Excel is powerful in nature. And today we are going to see some of the things that you can do with Excel. Okay, when it comes to data modeling. Sometimes we think Excel is a data storage tool, which it is, because the newer version of Excel can handle up to 1 million records. So it is a data collection tool or storage tool, but it goes beyond that. It has some powerful tools that can be used for modeling, which I would want us to see. Okay. So what are some of the key things that we need to make sure? Okay. What are some of the blocks, the fundamental items in data modeling? That is both for Excel and Power BI. That will make sure that at the end of the entire process, we will say, now we have done what? Now, this is our data model. Okay. So the first item that we need to consider is what we call data transformation. Okay, so in data modeling, the first thing is data transformation. Now, you receive data or files from clients, from vendors, from partners, from so many people. And you can receive this file in different formats, PDF, Access, Excel. I mean, it can be in various formats, okay? Not type, but formats. The file extension, it can be an Excel file, sometimes it can be a Word, a text file. No, you receive this file in different formats. Now, the first thing that you need to do is to transform the data. Now, transforming data is where you get raw data and you modify it to fit your current analysis or modeling. Okay, so there are some reports you want to create. So what you do when you receive data from different parties, you first of all transform this data. Transformation means there are three things in transformation. One is what we call constructive transformation. Okay, constructive is where you build new information. Number two, destructive transformation. So destructive, on the other hand, so you can construct and you can also so destructing is more of you delete some items, you delete some columns that maybe are not supposed to be there, and so many things. So there's constructive transformation where you construct new, totally new information, and then you can also have what? Destructive sort of transformation. Okay, and then the other type is where you I can't remember the term, but where you create new sort of data, okay? Totally new data from the existing. So you construct new, and then you can also build from whatever is existing. So those are normally the three ways you can transform data, okay? So I think in the full data analytics course, you go deeper into each and every item, okay? But data transformation, if you look at my screen, I'm saying, you get raw data. Actually, let me not miss that word. Before modeling, okay? And before modeling here, I'm very specific, establishing the schema. The schema is basically, you have different tables and then you create a linkage. So you have maybe a data set here for customer information. You have another data set for their customer's transaction and the date they did the transaction. So when you connect the two data sets, you form what we call a schema. And there are different types of schemas that are there. So you need to know how to create those schemas. So I'm going to show you when we start the practical side. So there's a question here, somebody asking, can we call it cleaning of data, the transformation? Yes, it is. Actually, if you look at the screen, it is saying, before establishing the schema, raw data might need to be, and it is not a must, may, not shall, it may be cleaned. Sometimes if you have already created your own data sets, you have already defined the columns properly, so you don't need to clean the data. That's why when we had the webinar on financial analysis and modeling, we focused so much on data collection. Because once your data is clean, it is very easy now to link it and then do your reports. Okay, so yes, Penina, yes, we can call it. It is also data transformation. Data cleaning is also part of data transformation. There are so many terms out there, data wrangling. There are so many terms that that really just talk about data transformation. Okay, so you see, we clean the data, we shape it, we transform it to fit our desired structure. So if we get a data set from somewhere, we can be able to transform that data set so that we can use it properly. Okay. The other item, so that is the first and the most important thing. So today I'm going to show you how to use the various tools in Power BI and Excel, the different tools that are there on how we can use them to clean our data and show you how they are used in different ways. So let me go to the next one is relationship between tables. Relationship between tables. Structural transformation. On that side, yes, structural transformation. That is the last type. Yes, constructive, destructive, and then the structural. Yes, that is good. That is good. You see, when you participate, you even when I've forgotten something, you can even throw it in there. Okay, that is good. So structural transformation, which is the other type that I was talking about. And then now the other driver or the other fundamental item in data modeling is creating relationship between tables. Okay, this is the most important. You see here we're saying it is the core aspect of data modeling. So when you're able to create a relationship between two or more tables, of course now we're able to form a very good bond between the customers who we have or the clients who we have in our database or in our data sets and their transactions. We link those two. So a common relationship between this data and that. It can be, so there are different kinds of relationships that exist. One to many, many to many, many to one. There are such relationships. Now, it is recommended that between a fact table to a dimensional table, or between dimensional table to a fact table, there has to be, or it is recommended for us to have a what? A one-to-many relationship. Meaning one customer may have many transactions. Okay? So if you are able to achieve such, okay, then you will make your analysis and modeling to be very friendly. Okay, especially if you are starting to learn, this data modeling, because there's so much, but you can learn the core items and then you're able to just do your your analysis and visualization very fast. So you see, it is the core aspect of data modeling. You establish the relationship between different tables, and of course there's a common. So of course there has to be a common field, for example, in customers, and maybe in their transaction. Maybe there's an ID number in the customers data set, and in the other data set there's also an ID number. So as much as they have so many transactions, but there's that unique identity in their transaction, which now can be used to link that. So this will help us to do what we call querying. So a query, what is a query? If somebody can tell us. So to query is to extract information or to mold data sets into what we might want. So we might want to query data, to pull data, to extract data, or to query is to ask. So you are asking a data set or a database for information. Okay. Somebody wants you to say something? What is a query? Somebody maybe can tell us what is a query. You can use the chat box. Okay, I thought somebody was talking, but anyway, so the reason as to why we create relationship between these two tables is because we want to be able maybe to create new tables. Okay, we can have a code to help us create a new table, maybe it is a new column that we want. So you see, we create a customer data table, and then on this other side we create a customer transaction table or data set. Then we connect these two tables. Then from the connection, you don't know, somehow they appear like one. We use a query to come and say, okay, these two are connected. Can we create another table from these two? Maybe I want customer ID and specific transactions for a certain day. So have a query that will create such a table. Okay. Good. So I'm seeing it is a command to extract data. Yes. Data querying is the method of requesting specific information from databases. Yes. Databases is just a collection of data sets. Okay. So you want to get specific information from a database. That is what the fundamental thing in data sets is making sure the relationship is what? Is substantial. Okay. The other item, there are four of them. The first one we said transformation. The other one we said what? Transformation. Then I think when you used to class, you used to chorus answer. Where people say, oh, relationship tables. Yes. So first one, data transformation, then relationship between tables. So number three, the other fundamental item is using what we call expressions, DAX. So sometimes when you see these DAX, it seems you can get scared, but it is just simply saying functions like functions in Excel. We also have functions in what we call Power BI tool. Okay, so they are simply functions. But now for DAX, we were talking about or visual representation is basically where you now, once you have connected your tables, you've created new tables. So now you create a visual representation so that you can see the trends and the patterns of your modeled data. Okay, so so for us to understand the relationship, for example, I want to see I've connected customer information and I've connected with customer transaction. Then maybe I've connected my tools to a website that is giving me customer metrics, how customers are purchasing. Maybe they have purchasing power or low purchasing power. So I can connect that and have three tables. One, an external table from a website, which will be telling me, hey, right now the purchasing power for customers is not good. So I connect it with my customer information data set or customer detail data set, and then with their transaction data set. So you have that connection. And then now you can have a visualization. You see, when you connect tables, you may not be able to see the trend with your naked eye, but if you create charts, tables, and such, then you are able to see what the trend and the pattern. Okay, and that is where we make decisions from once we get those insights. We had talked, I think, if you go and watch the videos that we did on financial analysis, we had talked about a predictive and a descriptive types of analytics. So it is at the visualization level that we now predict, that we describe, that we predict, and we prescribe. Not descriptive, but predictive. We predict and we prescribe. Predictive. Okay. Remember, there are four types of analytics that you can get into. You can have the descriptive analytics where you just describe. You can have diagnostic analytics where once you describe, you look at your historical data and you see trends. So you want to investigate and see why these trends were there. So that is, you diagnose it. You actually look at the anomalies and you investigate on those anomalies, the changes and the differences. Then once you've done that, the two last one, we normally call it prescriptive. So we start with predictive. So it is now the forecasting that we normally talk about, predictive. So we try to see if the future, if the current situation is going to happen again in the future. So predictive. Okay, but now we have even gone further. We also now talk about prescriptive. We prescribe. So we want, for example, like Power BI can be able to prescribe models for you. They have the Copilot. Okay, right now they have made it. They call it the Copilot. So it can prescribe for you models, visualization models that you can look at and say, oh, so there was this insight. Yeah. Okay. As a person, unless you look at your data very kindly, but if your data, you have a very big data set, you can use the Power BI tool to do the prescriptive, not the predictive. It will do predictive, but it can also prescribe. Like going to a doctor, you describe the problem, he will diagnose and see what was the reason for that. He will predict to see if that disease is going to come again, and then he will prescribe what? Medicine. So prescriptive analytics is more of giving solution. So we need these applications to give us or to recommend solutions. Okay. So there are so many tools. There's Power BI, which has Copilot, which is doing good. I think the last class, I think I taught, I saw they have improved it. Okay. There are other tools they have. There's another called Einstein. It is like the Chat GPT of these analytics, okay, which is more refined. Okay, so that is the visual representation. So if we do those four things, then we have accomplished our data modeling. We have accomplished data modeling. I don't know if there's a question up to there. Is there any question up to there? Maybe to look at the chat box, I'm seeing Penina. Example of the Power BI, please. I don't know which example. A DAX or what? Because in a moment, I want us now to get into seeing how these things work. in using simple examples, I know for the webinars it is only 2 hours, so we might not be able to do too much, but we will do. I want to touch on the fine areas. At least you go having something, and I will start with Excel, then Power BI. Okay. Yes, I will talk about Power BI. Why is it important? Why is it that multinational corporations are already on Power BI? Trying to put that into their system. Something of the sort. So I'll take maybe one question if there is example of the Power BI. So maybe I've not understood the question, Penina, but I think I'm going to demonstrate how we can model data in Power BI and how to create the reports. So that is the next part, the practical application. So is there any question up to there with whatever we've done? So feel free, okay? So allow me to share the link. There are those maybe who would want to, but for Power BI, unless you have the software, for Excel, you can be able to do it. So let me share the files on Gmail as I take a small breather of 3 minutes. I don't know if my team has anything to say, or if you have a question as a participant, you have a question, feel free to air it out. Others, thank you for that session. Zulaka, you said I did get the third type of data transformation. We have constructive, where you construct. Then we have destructive, the transformation where you destroy some of the things, you delete them, you do away with them. And then the last one was structural transformation. Okay. Constructive, destructive, and then structural transformation. Okay. I hope I've answered your question. Good. Okay. So allow me to demonstrate. I'm saying it is 3:35. We wanted to use like 2 hours maximum. So latest we will be finished by 4:30, so that in case there are other items, we can be able to look at it. So that also, if somebody is traveling to home, then they're able to have ample time. I remember the whole idea of these webinars is to give you small bits of information, and it is good. Join them when we have them. Join them. You'll be able to get bit. We call them bite-sized information, which can be very helpful in some situation. Okay, and then the interaction. When you're watching a video on YouTube, you may not ask a question. Here you can ask. You can challenge me. Last time I said there is no custodian of knowledge. Nobody knows everything. Yes. Even if you're an expert, there is no custodian of knowledge. There's always new, especially in using technology. There's always new things out there. So when we have such webinars, feel free to share your information, wish to help us. So let me display Excel, and I start with Excel. So I'm going to show you Excel, transformation in Excel. What else? What is the next thing? Creating relationship in Excel. Functions in Excel. Function in Excel, maybe I'll not be able to go into that much, but I'll be able to create a report in Excel. Then in Power BI, transformation in Power BI. Then creating relationships in Power BI, using the analytics in Power BI, and then the visual part. So like that. Yeah? So I want us to use the shortest time possible. So give me, it is 15:36, just 5 minutes. We take a breather, 5 minutes, or 5 minutes or less. So up to 15:45, 7 minutes. And then we shared the information for those who would want to do it. And then, let me do this so that because of time, I will share the information afterwards so that you can practice, because I don't think it will be easy. You practice as you follow, which will not be. So as I'm sending maybe a thank you email, I will be able to share that link. Then you practice later on. And in case you get stuck even after this particular session, feel free. You can call me and I can be able to assist if you get stuck. So let us take a break. 5 minutes break, 5 minutes health break, then we resume. Thank you so much.
Siku moja utakuwa umevaa ka crop home. Sawa. Charge to nani kama classes and training. As in no.
So we can proceed. I hope you can hear me. Hope you can hear me well. So I want us to start with Excel. So we create a new folder and then we start from there. Okay. I hope you can hear me so that I proceed. Okay, good. Sometimes, these systems can fluctuate and you're not able to control them. So, unlike physical sessions, I know very soon we're going to have a physical masterclass session. So I hope you'll be able to attend. Okay. So now let me talk about data modeling in Excel. Let me just open a file, just 1 minute. I share. I know they are heavy rains. I hope they're not going to affect our session. Good. So let me open a new Excel file and then share it. Data analytics. Okay. So I'm using the, I think if I use my entire screen, it will be better. Good. So now I have my screen there. This is an Excel worksheet. This is an Excel worksheet. So I would want now we do something. So this is a plain Excel worksheet. And assume this is where I want to do my analysis. So let me write here, analysis. Okay. So it is always good to organize your worksheets or documents differently so that you have an analysis worksheet, you have where you stored your data, the source worksheets. So you need to have that analysis worksheet and then maybe the other data sets so that I can link data sets with this particular worksheet. Remember, we create the data sets. Yes, Teresa, you have.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. Good. So let me just showcase. So I have my folder. You can see my folder here. File sources. I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3. I have 5 documents. I have 5 documents. Stationary, and then stationary PP, and then stationary PQ. So I would want us to first look at. Let me rename these ones so that they are in order. Let me make it to 2. Okay. So stationary PQ, that is the document of interest. Let me open it first. Good. If you look at these data sets, we have this data like this. Now, this is the data. It has a date. Remember, the first thing we identify the data type. Okay, that is the first, and you identify the kind of data. Combine with uh, from the see you go to this. If or share next next color like the okay. This is a fixed. If you your yeah, normally then they say then okay so the data text separate hyphen
When I connect, boom.
With the corrected what? With the corrected data. So that is Power Query in Excel. So the same you can do in Power BI. Okay. So I hope that is clear. Let me close that one. So that is how you transform. Again, there are so many techniques of transforming. So now what we call our bot. Okay. And I'll use a different data set for that. Let me use this one. Creating a model where I create relationships. There is this here called the Power Pivot. Okay, so upload the data and you get a model. Okay, so if you have Power Pivot, then that is good. So this is how you have the settings. Now, the first thing, if I look at my data set, so I've used one for Power Query. So I want to combine these to a data set and another one. So I open one. So you can see data set 2, data set 3, data set 2, data set 3. So here, the 2, for example, this is a dimensional data set. So I'm describing salespeople. I have 5 salespeople. I have Mary, whose employee number is EMP001, the salary, and of course, then data 3, I'm describing this we sell. Okay, we have electronics, which is in category 1, and the country of origin is Kenya. Okay, electronic cards are both in category 1. Country of origin is in food, which is in category 3. The country of origin is in Kenya. You see, we can be able to analyze things that are coming from Kenya. Kenya, category 1. In Kenya, category 3. So we can analyze category 3 on the side. You see, Kenya will have category 1, category 3. So it is basically making dynamic, and the analysis a bit dynamic. Okay. Then here we have item. So we can analyze electronics. I mean separate. Okay. But this simple data set, it's a dimensional. It's not electronics are initially on this date. But no, it is not that. It is simple. Where we are talking about what? We are talking about, for example, here we're describing electronics. Here we're describing salespeople. Okay. The other data set that I have is this one. On this other hand, data set 1 is now a factual data set, because look at it. It will show us the date of the transaction, the salesperson who was in charge, the items, the amount that was number. Okay. You see, they represent data that was that is business. People doing is you come this one and then you do your analysis. Of course, not to ever create the. Okay. So we have one in one work and work 3. Now what we need to First of all, you need to before you load. So I'll have my analysis. Open. Then I'll do. I will manage input. So remember, what we are using for data cleaning is Power. What we are using for modeling in Excel is Power Pivot. So I'll model. So it will open for me the Power Pivot. There. So basically blank like that. So the next thing I need to do, I want to load the data. So here, and external data, there is this from, let me choose from the database item. Favored so many things on database. For it is from, we click on other sources, like that, then scroll down, click on Excel file. Remember, you can also upload access files and other kind of files. So Excel file, then I click on next. Then I need to browse and see where my Excel is, that document. Then I browse here, my desktop.
Not bad. Before you
what about right now? It is okay? Very clear? Sorry, there's some power fluctuation, but I hope you may. Are we together? Okay. Can you be able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was just waiting for a confirmation so that I don't lose out. So we have dataset 1, dataset 2, and dataset 3. So you see now I have uploaded them to the model. Okay, they were originally in different Excel files, but now I have loaded them to the model. Okay. Now, once I've done that, in this particular model, I also need to now create a relationship. Remember, the third thing is to create a relationship. Now, to do that in Power BI, not in Power BI, sorry, in Power Pivot, we just change the view. In Home tab, go to the View tab and change the view here. From Data View to Diagram View. Change that so that it now gives you these, normally we call them cards. It will give you these 3 cards, which are representation of the data. But look at our data here: F6, F7, F8. So we have some an extra columns which you may need to remove. So change back to data view. Change back to data view. Then we can be able to delete some of these things up to here. Okay. Remember the destructive kind of transformation where you delete, you remove items, that one. So now I can go back to the diagram view, and then look at how let us create connections. Data set 1, we have date, salesperson, item, amount, receipt number. So what is the common idea? This should be here. We normally have different arrangements of this particular. So this is a factual, this is a dimensional table, and this is a dimensional table, and then this is a factual table. Okay. So ideally, as I had mentioned, we need to have a one-to-many relationship. One-to-many relationship. So here, the connector here, we can use salary, age, the salesperson, and connect it like that. Okay. So you just click here. You drag it to the other side and there are connection. Okay, so you see this arrow, normally we call them cross filters, so they have a purpose for that. Then the connection type is one-to-many. So in analysis, the direction of the arrow is important to know how to set it. It's like a process. Maybe it is not part of the webinar, but it is good to know that even the arrows, they're known as what? Cross filters. Setting cross filters, it is important to know how to set it because it will affect your visualizations. Okay. Then on this other side, what is common here? Item. Item is common. You connect it like that. So now, for this one, you don't need to load. You just click on save. Remember, this is an independent adding Power Pivot. Okay. So once you've done that, nothing else. You just close the model and you go back to your analysis worksheet. Remember, the model, we have created it in the worksheet called what? Data modeling. Now, for instance, maybe I want to now do my visualization, or I want to create a report. Maybe it's a Power Query report. Then what I can do, I can just go to home, and then maybe I want to have a pivot table. So you see, normally we would create a pivot table from table or range, but right now we have from model. So if I click on that, it will ask me, do you want to have that in the existing? Yes, I can say yes, like that. So what will happen, my pivot table now will be using or utilizing the data sets in the model, data set 1 and data set 2. So I can simply use data set 1, okay? And by the in my advanced Excel classes, we talk about pivot tables. So if you're interested in joining those classes, we will go in-depthly on pivot tables, how to set the pivot tables. There are so many things in pivot tables that you can take advantage of, and this is just the advanced item. Now, in data set 1, I want to pick the amount. Remember, in factual tables, you pick the numerical, the computable, items. Maybe you want to count, you calculate, you sum. Those are the data series that you use. I'll not use items because item, it is already on the other side as a what? In the dimension table, okay? I've already described the item, electronics, from each country, which category, like that. So I'll take the item and put it under values, like that. Then, you see, if I was to analyze only data set 1, I will only be limited to date, salesperson, item, like that. But right now I have data set 2, where I can decide the analysis. Instead of the salesperson, I can decide to analyze their data using their ID number. Remember, in data set 1, here, the factual table, we do not have the ID numbers. The ID numbers are where? In data set 2. Then in data set 3, for the columns, I can decide to use a different item. Maybe I can say, let me analyze with country of origin. So you see, in my data collection, I was not collecting the employee numbers or the country, but I have these in my dimensional data. So I can simply create a very good pivot table that is created from what? From relationships. Okay? So that is that. Then you can now maybe go ahead and, because remember, the whole idea of creating relationship is to create queries to query data and create new tables. So like this is a pivot table. And then so that from there we can create what? Visualization. Okay? So that is on data modeling using Excel. Okay, using Excel. Let me demonstrate how Power BI is used, okay, and why it is important to, once you've mastered Excel, go and master what? Power BI. Okay, so let me close this and open Power BI. So Power BI here, the desktop application. So just a minute, it opens. So BI stands for Business Intelligence. BI stands for Business Intelligence. So the moment you open Power BI, once you have installed the tool, this is how it looks like. Okay, this is the interface. It seems so complicated by the Power BI. The first time you interact with it, you'll wonder why it. So, Pelina, you've asked where I've opened it. I have already installed. I have already installed Power BI in my computer. So that's what I was saying. For the Excel, we will be able to maybe do it, but for the Power BI, it will take time for us to install the package and But the desktop version, when you install it, the way you install Excel, when you install it, when you open it, it looks like this. This is the interface. You have the Home tab. You have the. So this is when you have a blank Power BI tool. Okay. Now, if I want to create, it's like when you want to create a new Excel. Excel, you can open Excel without opening any workbook. I don't know if you've ever managed that. Normally what it happens, it will open the workbook, but it will just be blank. So this is Power BI when there's nothing opened in it. There's no file opened in it. So let me create a blank BI report here. So if I click here, it will now create a blank Power BI report. You see here at the top, it is saying what? Untitled Power BI Desktop. Untitled Power BI desktop. I don't know if I've seen some question here. Can you use Power BI in ERP? Yes, actually, one of the things that I want to show you right now is how you connect Power BI to multiple sources. Anyway, let me first of all talk about the interface. So the interface normally has three parts. We have where you see your reports, you have where you model your tables, you have where you create the models, the tables, the ones that we've seen in Power Pivot. Okay, so here is where you have the data analysis expressions and so forth. So the default view is the report view. The default view is the report view. Okay, so what you do in Power BI, you bring in files from different sources. So it can be an Excel file, anything. So let us extract those three documents. So what you do, by the way, with this software, whether it's Power BI or Power Pivot is in Excel. It is not in Power BI. Power BI is like a combination of Power Query and Power Pivot and maybe PowerPoint. Okay, actually, it is very powerful when it comes to visualization. You can see here under the report view. This is powerful. Even if you're handling a project, I was training some guys on project management. When you are training project management, you can add more complex, visualization here to track your project. Okay, so it is very powerful when it comes to the visualization and also the filters. We used to have something called the Power View. So ideally, before Power BI came, we used to have Power View, Power Pivot, and Power Query. So Power View, Power Pivot, and Power Query, they were the add-ins to Excel. So Excel, when you wanted to transform data, you use Power Query. When you want to model data, you use Power Pivot. Then when you want to visualize data, you use Power View. But right now, what they have done is to combine all those softwares to one. So so I'm part of the Microsoft Power BI and Excel community. So normally you'll see people sharing the different items, the different trends that are there. So ideally, it is a combination of Excel features, the Power Query features, Power Pivot features, and the Power View, but in a more advanced way. So even if you have a very big organization and you have your database administrator and they're using Power Query, you have an open AI. So you have the API interface that you can link to this. It has that ability to connect to your systems. So it's a very powerful tool. So I just want to demonstrate very fast on how we can connect data sources here. Then I show you how to do the analysis expressions, just one or two, and then we call it a day. Then I can answer any questions that are there. Okay. So under Home tab, we have data. And so you can get data from different sources. Now, there are two ways. You can connect to data or you can import data. But the most powerful way is to connect to data. And these tools, the Power Pivot, the Power Pivot, and the Power BI, they're very powerful when it comes to connecting. Actually, right now, I think last year but one, when I was training Power BI, there were about 65 to 80 ways you can connect to Power BI. Right now, they have improved it. They have even added what we call the DAX query view here. You can see where I've pointed my mouse, DAX query view. So these are some of the improvements they keep on adding. And then remember the predictive and the prescriptive item here, the Copilot. So it was not there, but now they have added the Copilot. So uncover insights in your data with the help of AI. So the likes of, it is like ChatGPT, but it is Copilot for Microsoft products. Okay, and some other things they have added. Previously, when you're using Power BI, to automate Power BI, you needed to have the Power Automate tools. But right now, it can be able to connect to Power Automate tools seamlessly. Okay. So let me connect. So I want to connect to an Excel workbook. So for example, maybe I put my data in an Excel workbook. So what I'll do, under Data tab here, I'll click on Excel. Okay. Then it will ask me to choose where my file is. I'll go to desktop. It is here. And then, so file sources. And then I want what? The first one. Oh, there are two. This one. It was the PP for Power Pivot. So let me open that one. So please wait while you establish a connection. So here we are connecting to the data source. Okay. So I choose data preview of whatever data I'm loading. So that is the good thing about Power BI. In Power Pivot, you saw we were not able to see a preview. Okay. Then I'll also choose dataset 3. So I can be able to see my data in advance. Then you see, before I load this data, and that is the beauty of Power BI, before I load this data, I can decide to do what? To transform it here. So temporarily, it will open Power Query at this particular point. I can open Power Query, do my things. Then by the time I'm loading data to the model, it is already data that has been cleaned. But in our case, let me just load the data without transforming. So I load the data. So here you'll see the two items. If I've loaded, good. So I have dataset 2 and dataset 3. You see how user-friendly it is? I can just see my tables here. Okay. So I can see my tables here, model them from here, visualize them from here. The simplicity is just something else. Let me also add the other table, the other data set, which was number 3. So you're using 2 and 3. Okay. So in stationary, I only have data set 1. So here, the factual data set. And you see we have column 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I can decide to click on transform. If I click transform, so I can load it first of all, it goes here, then I'll go to transform. You see I have transform data here. Okay, or before loading it, I can decide to transform it first before I load it. So if I click transform, before it loads the data, it will open for me what? Power Query editor for me to do what? To clean my data. So if I want to destroy some columns, I'll have this column 6. But remember, I'm just showing you the basic items. There's a lot. Those are the columns, and then I let me delete them. Then remove columns. So it is interesting. There's something called remove columns, remove other columns. I mean, you can select items and remove those that have not been selected. So it is an amazing tool. So remove columns like that. So now I have the receipt number. So now my data is clean. So, and you can see, once I open Power Query Editor, I don't need to load data there. They are automatically loaded. Okay. Because Power Query Editor and Power BI, they are kind of linked. Okay. So now what I do, I just go to close and apply, not close and load to, like what we are doing. So this time it is close and apply like that. So it will load my data set less the uncleaned parts. So you see now I have data set 1, 2, and 3. So now, and remember you can connect to so many sources. Maybe, for example, in class I always also teach how to connect to websites, to databases that are not Excel. Because you see in a business, it is not just Excel files. No, we need to connect to different sources. Remember, sometimes and also right now the way we are going towards the kind of reporting which is the way we do the integrated reports. So we need data from different departments, HR, finance, so that when we're doing our reports, we can have something consolidated. So this is a tool that can really assist on that, just to connect different departments, so that now these departments can share their data and you have a value-driven reporting. Okay. So the last bit, let me just show you so that, because I'm seeing time is going. So to connect these 3, you go to model view. So in model view, you have the 3 cards here. So automatically there are some settings you can have in Power BI which can detect what do you call them? Relationships. So for example, you see this one, it has already identified salesperson. So automatically it has done one connected. But of course it has not connected to dataset 3 because dataset 3 needs some some cleaning. You see it is saying column 1, 2, and 3. It needs some cleaning. That's why it has. So I can go back to transform. Let me go to transform and clean dataset 3. Because what has happened? The titles of the dataset are not there. They are below. So what you can do, you can always go here. There's this under transform. There's this command here, and you say use first rows as headers, so that it takes them where here, so that it cleans. And then there are some applied steps on the side. In case you make some mistake, you can always go back, and then close and apply. So it will load. So you see automatically it will load, change, correct my data, and set the relationships accordingly. So so like for mine, I've said we normally have global settings and individual file settings. So you can, for me, maybe the global settings are set to whereby if I load data sets, automatically the detections are done. So you can turn that off so that you yourself can determine. So this is what we call the star type of connection. So it looks like a star. So dataset 1 is the factual table. Then you see it is like a star. So you have other dimensional tables around. So it forms like a star. So there are other types of schemas that you can have. So now once I have this, I have modeled my data. If I was now to create maybe a visualization here, probably maybe a column chart. I just click on a column chart like that. It appears. I can expand it like that very fast. And remember, I have page 1, page 2, page 3. When you're doing reporting, when you're doing visualization, there are steps towards visualization. Or when you're creating dashboards, there has to be some flow. Okay. So in this case, I will go to dataset 1. I will take amount and put it where? Which is the x-axis. And then on the y-axis, I can choose something else like employee. Let me see which one. Maybe I can analyze amount by category. Y-axis. Okay. It is the y vice versa. And then amount like that. So I can have that. I can measure it with what? Category. Like that. So that is simple. Then you can have the legend fields to be different. There's something called small multiples. It's an interesting item. Oh, and then there's something called the drill through. Drill through is when you've created the hierarchies. There's something we call hierarchies in datasets when you want to optimize your datasets. So that if you want to present Nakuru, let's say you have countries. You have Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania. So you can drill through. You can go from Kenya, you go to Nairobi, you go to this sub-county, you go to that ward, like that. So you can drill through your data when you use some of the hierarchy techniques. So there are some techniques you can use for that. And then you can have filters. So these are onboard filters, the ones like in pivot table, but you can always create filters here. For example, filters that we normally use are like slicers. So you also have slicers here. So you can have them next to your item, and you can make the dynamic in a way that they can appear in multiple pages. Okay, so that is how we model data in Power BI and Excel in an overview. Okay, but there are so many things with Power BI. This is not the end. There is now what we call publishing. So there's data drill, there's formatting. So in this modeling, maybe I need to show you one quick calculation in the formula so that we accomplish. So there's what we call publish. Where is it? Here, share, publish. So BI desktop, this is what we call BI service for collaboration. The collaboration in Power BI is to another level. So you can publish BI reports as dashboards and as what we call paginated reports. So paginated reports are reports which are in, like A4, A5 documents, which you can print and, have in a meeting. For the dashboards, these are real-time visualizations like what we have. So you can publish this to the BI service. And even on my mobile phone, I can in real time, if somebody make a sale, I can in real time see these graphs changing. Okay, so it is an interesting tool. So the last thing that I want to do, let me go to table view. You see, you have different views. Report view is where I have the graphs. Then in table view is where I have what? The view. I can see the tables, the data in the tables. Okay. Now there's something called data analysis expressions, which is the last thing I'm going to talk about that you can be able to use. Which it is, it covers all these things. So if, for example, you want to create a new column in Power BI, you don't say insert a new column. No, you create a query. So that query is the data analysis expression. So what I'll do, for example, here, I'll say, for example, here in my factual table, I want to insert a new column. I'll just click new column here. Okay. So what it will do, it will create for me the formula. So the formula, if you look at the formula bar, or what we use to term the formula bar, here it is, okay, it is different a bit. So I'll change the column and I'll say average what? Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I think it had shifted to the backup Wi-Fi, so that so it removed me. Sorry, the one that I'm using, because I'm seeing Simon is still there. Let me just share again my screen. Entire screen. Okay. Power BI. So yeah. I hope I don't know, I think I had lost, let me delete this and then we delete. Okay, so I was saying, when you want to create, for example, a new column, you can use the data analysis expression. So I hope up to here it's where I had you had lost me. So I've connected the data set. Good. So if I want to create a new column, I'll just go to here, new column. Then I would, for example, in the new column, I would say tax. Sales tax like that. Then I will call the table that I want to work with, which is dataset 1 amount, and then multiply this by say 0.16. Maybe that is my tax. So if I tap on enter, it will compute the sales tax. It will create a column and compute the sales tax like that. So ideally, I've queried this. Now this function, this is like a formula, and there are so many. You can create even a table using that. If I create another column, I can use if function. Let me just show you. I can say that column, use if function. You see, we have if. We have, we have the if function. So you can even use the if function. So you have the logical test, result if it's true, result if false. Okay, so that's why we say the data analysis expression is simply a combination of function, logical, and whatever. So I can use the if function and say, if the person is Mary, please compute 10% of the amount. If it is so and so, and I can nest the functions. You can actually nest functions. In advanced Excel, we talk about nesting functions. So that is a feature that you can be able to learn here. I mean, you can utilize that skill in advanced Excel on nesting functions, and you have it here. Okay. So, so that is a function that you can be able to use. I can use the new sum. Let me use sum, and then I call the tax, or let me use product, so that is it sum? If I want to combine, if I want now to know the total, yes, I can use sum dataset 1, the amount, comma, and what else? Dataset 2, which is tax. Close the bracket and you enter. So it will give me an error. But the good thing about data analysis, sorry for that. So the good thing with Power BI, in case you make a mistake, it will automatically tell you too many arguments were passed to the sum function. The maximum argument for this function is 1. So those are the small things you need to know about the data analysis expressions. In Excel, you can use multiple arguments. Here, you only use what? One argument. Yes. So for example, if I just say the amount, this one will give me the total for the amount, which is not what I want. I would want maybe the product. Okay, so what I do, I can nest so that I can add these or I can use a simple equals to this plus this, like that. So that is the data analysis expression, and you can do more. You can use it to create tables. If you go to Home tab, you can use it to create new measures, columns, and also tables. And then there's something we call security, RLS. RLS is used for controlling who sees what reports. For example, if I have a big organization, the HR can be seeing their own data and reports. The finance can be seeing their own reports. And then as a CEO, maybe I can see all the reports combined. So it is as such. So I think that marks the end of this presentation. This is just saving. I don't think there's anything else. So I think we've done quite something. I hope it was informative. We've been able to look at what data modeling is, the different sets of data that you can have, what is modeling in practical way, data transformation, very key, Power Query, creating relationships. There has to be a model, Power Pivot, data analysis explosion, the functions, the formulas that are there, and then of course the visual representation, which can be done very well once you have created good models. Good. So I think that is the end. In case you have a question, maybe I can read a few questions. Ideally, you see the webinars are short, bite-sized skills. Please support our team. I know I heard Samantha saying there are people who have joined without paying, but please support them. I know they would want maybe to print out certificates or such, which is good. So Samantha is in charge of registrations and bookings for courses. So in case you might want to find more information about the trainings, you can just visit our website, the one where you registered. You can visit /training. We have individual trainings at scheduled times, and we also do the corporate ones where we can customize based on what content you have. If it is a finance department or it's an audit firm or it's a HR firm, we can customize and see which metrics are we going to use, and we create a very good training session. Okay. Our contacts, so the ones you can be able to reach out. Samantha is as displayed. Myself, let me type my number on the chat box in case you would want to reach me out in person. 0710 782 719. So as I said, my day-to-day role is I do corporate training. I train corporates. So the insights that I get, I know today we've used very simple data sets. So in corporate organizations, the data sets will take different shapes. And that is what maybe in class session, we say, for me, I call them skills training programs, because we go there I don't go there to lecture. We sit there, we look for cases, we look at the tools, we apply. And that is how you are able to get skills and bridge that gap that we saw in that first slide. So thank you so much for lending me your ears and your time. And I hope we'll be able to have another session. I know we've done modeling, so maybe somebody will ask, what about visualization? What are some of the techniques of creating visuals? And maybe Power BI or Excel, can you link them to a PowerPoint presentation? Maybe I'm used to PowerPoint presentation. Can I be able to link them to that? So feel free to talk to us, and I think that is it. Unless there's a question, I can take the question, maybe one question from someone. If there's any burning question, I can take, then we call it a day. So it is open. You just raise your hand if you have any question, and give like 5 minutes. If you have a question, then I can answer, then we can call it a day. So thank you and welcome. Oh, sorry, I had muted my microphone, sorry. I'm saying thank you so much for that. Mary Njoroge, good job. Thank you, I appreciate. I really appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. I think after this, maybe we'll have in case you would want a certificate to claim your CPDs, we'll always create that for you. The reasons why I'm saying on request, there are those who may not need a certificate of participation, but in case you might need it, please reach out to Samantha, and she can be able to organize that for you. Okay, so let me read one question. My question was around color themes, how to bring that into Power BI, but we can do that next time. Yes, yes. Yes, Milka. Yes, we can have another. We'll set another Power BI or visualization session. Remember, we started with analysis, we're in modeling. Now we will set another one in visualization. But these are bite-sized trainings. If you'd want the comprehensive training, we have our training sessions. They're very convenient, from 8 to 10, 6 to 8. Or if you're having a group, we can have Monday to Thursday from 8 to, you can book a week. We go through that in a group. You can book through the organization, or you can book individually for the physical classes. But they are also virtual classes, so it depends. You can always reach out to someone together. Oh yes, the presentation. Yes, Mohammed. Yes, I'll share the presentation. I will share the presentation. Most definitely, I will share the slides that I've used. Yes. Chuka High School, thank you so much, and much welcome. So I think we can. I don't think there's anything else. So that is it. That is Power BI. That is data modeling with Power BI. Thank you so much. And in case you might have a question, feel free to talk to Samantha to share with you the content. Good. In case you're interested with the courses, normally once people have attended our webinars, if you register for our courses, there's a discount, provided you participated in them. So you can again reach out to them and say, thank you so much and have a good evening.
Ati Acha 5 minutes watu wamalize kuuliza maswali. Imeisha. Eh? Attendance hii masterclass. Tunasikia baridi. Ai, wapi dunia ni kuna. Na kwa kinasema ndo tunataka. Hey, I think hakuna mtu mwingine hata. Tuwajalie. Madam. Na vile nimetoka tukisaini. Nataka wale watu wa kahawa moto. anatokea kati. Kweli na wengine wanafika immoral.